Hi guys, this is Mr. Urrego, and today we're evaluating trigonometric functions that are not in the unit circle. So the problems that we're going to have today is something like this. They're going to give me the tangent, they're going to give me the cosine, they're going to tell me either the tangent is positive or negative, or my cosine is positive or negative, or they can give me also the sine, right? They can give me any function. So, and then we find all 6 trig functions. What's the idea? We need to know where is this positive negative and where's this positive negative. For that, I'm going to go to this. So these are my Q1, 2, 3, and 4. And those are the signs for each quadrant. Now, something that I need to understand is that the x value is related to my cosine. So if the x value is positive, my cosine is positive. And my cosine is positive on Q1 and Q4, right? We got to remember that. Now, what about the negatives? It's going to be in Q2 and Q3, okay? Remember, the x is to the right, is positive, to the left is negative, right? The y up, positive, the y down is negative. That's why those signs are like that. Now, the y value is related to my sine. If the y value is positive, my sine is positive. Where else is my sine positive? On Q2. What about the negatives? Q3 and Q4. Okay, now remember that they gave me the tangent. So tangent is sine over cosine. So when I divide sine over cosine, I need to know if my tangent is positive, which here is positive. Positive divided by positive is positive. And where else? Q3. Negative divided by negative gives me positive. So these two are positive, and the other 2 quadrants is negative. How come? Positive divided by negative gives me negative. Right? Remember, sine divided by cosine. That's how we get. And in Q4. So that's the first thing that I need to know. Where my tangent is positive and where my cosines are positive. Excellent. Now let's start. Here's the problem. My tangent is negative. They just told me that this is positive and this is positive. And negative is going to be here. So here my tangent is negative, my tangent is negative. In Q2 and Q4. What about my cosine? My cosine is positive here and it's positive here. So you notice both conditions are satisfied in Q4. Therefore, my angle will be in Q4. Okay, now the question is, find all 6 trig functions. Therefore, I'm going to use my SOHCAHTOA, right? Sine, cosine, and tangent. Now I know that I'm working on Q4. Let's draw the angle. And my angle, remember, is in standard form, which means it's from the x positive all the way to the terminal side. And that's my theta. But again, I need to use my reference angle, and my reference angle is this, Q prime. Please check those videos if you're not sure about the reference angle. Now, having my reference angle, I need to work on this, so therefore I got to make a triangle. I'm going to make my triangle using my tangent. Tangent of my angle is -2 over 3, and this is opposite of adjacent. Opposite over adjacent. That's my tangent. Therefore, I'm going to come here and I'll make a triangle using that angle. And if this is my angle, opposite is going to be here. I'm not going to put the sign yet. I'm going to just put the number 2. And adjacent is right here, which is 3 in this case. Now, out of those, I need to know which one is positive, which one is negative. The x goes to the right, so it's positive. The y is going down, so this is the one that is negative. Now I have those 2 sides. What next? I need to find the hypotenuse. Do I have it? No. So let's find it. My hypotenuse, my Pythagorean theorem says a squared plus b squared equals c squared. C has to be my hypotenuse. Alright, this is your hypotenuse. A could be this could be b. 3 squared plus -2 squared equals c squared. 3 squared is 9. -2 squared is 4. 9 and 4, 13. And I need to find the square root of that. So square root of 13 is c, which is my hypotenuse. Now, once I have my hypotenuse, now it's time to find all the trig functions. Let's start with my sine. I know that my sine is opposite of hypotenuse. Let's go over here. If this is my angle, opposite is across. Adjacent is next to. Okay, and there, obviously this one is the hypotenuse, which is across from the 90-degree angle. So sine is opposite of hypotenuse. Opposite is -2 over hypotenuse, which is square root of 13. Now, what happens here is that we have a radical in the denominator. Can I have a radical in the denominator? No. I need to rationalize that. How do I rationalize that? Multiply by the same radical on the bottom and the top. And now my answer is going to be negative 2 square root of 13 on the top, and the bottom, 13 times 13 is 169, but then square root of 169 is 13. Rationalizing means by multiplying by the same radical, that radical will cancel, and the 13 is coming out. So that's my answer for my sine. Let's find my cosine. My cosine of the angle is going to be adjacent or hypotenuse. Adjacent, 3. Hypotenuse, square root of 13. Same idea. Square root of 13 on the bottom, square root of 13 on the top, right? The top is going to be 3 square root of 13. The bottom, that's 13 times 13, 169. Square root of 169, 13. By rationalizing, I got rid of that radical. Last but not least, let's do the tangent. Now, tangent of the angle is opposite or adjacent. Angle opposite, negative 2 over 3. And that's it. There's nothing to simplify there. So these are my 3 basic. After that, what do? I got to find the reciprocal of this. So reciprocal of tangent is cotangent of the angle. And the only thing that I have to do is just flip the values. Reciprocal, 3 over 2. But I don't want to put a negative on the denominator, so I put it on the top. And that's my cotangent. The cosine. The reciprocal of my cosine is my secant. Reciprocal. This is my first answer. It's 3 over square root of 13. Why am I using this? Because if I do the reciprocal, that means I'm going to flip this fraction, and the square root is going to be on the top, and the 3 is going to be on the bottom. And that's my secant. Reciprocal of cosine. Just flipped the fraction. And now, last but not least, the sine. Reciprocal is cosecant of the same angle. Cosecant. Let me bring the initial ratio. Why? Because the radicals and denominators, if I flip it, is going to be on the top, and the negative 2 is on the bottom. Do I put the negative in the denominator? No, I keep it and I put it on the top. Right? And those are my reciprocal functions. Let's try another one. Now, they're giving me the tangent. Again, is negative as well, but now the cosine is negative, right? Less than 0 means this is negative. That's what it means. So tangent is positive here, negative here. So positive here, negative there, positive here, negative there. That's for the tangent. But now I know that the cosine, which is the x, is here. Is negative here and is negative here. Right? So I'm looking for tangent negative and cosine negative. So I'm doing in Q2. So that's what I'm working on. We have to draw our angle. Do I know my angle? I have no idea. But I know it's standard form, so it starts from the x positive all the way right there, and that's my angle. Now we need to find the reference angle, and my reference angle is nothing more than the terminal side with the x-axis. So this is my reference angle. Okay, so once I have my reference angle, now I bring these two sides into the triangle. So I'm going to make a right triangle here, right triangle right there, right? And I'll bring these two sides. I know that tangent of an angle is opposite over adjacent, right? So if this is my angle, opposite is across. In my case, look at my ratio. My ratio is negative 1 over 3. So this is opposite, negative 1. I'm going to put the value, not the sign. And my adjacent is 3. And this is adjacent. Now, out of those two, remember, I have a negative here. I have one of them negative, so one of them has to be negative. The x is negative. The y is positive. Okay, so that's how you know which one is positive and which one is negative. Not because of this. Remember, sometimes we have a negative in the denominator, but we just need to bring it to the top. So this is the way we make sure where we put the negative. Okay? Now that I have these two sides, remember, the whole idea is to find sine, cosine, and tangent, and all of them, right? So to do that, I need to find my hypotenuse. So let's find the hypotenuse. To find my hypotenuse, I'm going to use my Pythagorean Theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. My hypotenuse is c. This could be a, this could be b. So I have 1 squared plus negative 3 squared. 1 squared is 1, negative 3 squared is 9. 1 plus 9 is 10. My c is when I do square root on both sides. So my hypotenuse is square root of 10. Now I have my hypotenuse. I have, this is my angle, so this is the opposite, and this is the adjacent, right? Once I have that, it's time to find the ratios. So let's find the ratios. Let's start with sine of my angle. So sine is opposite of hypotenuse. Opposite, hypotenuse, same as before. Rationalize. The top gives me square root of 10. The bottom, the radical cancels, 10. So that's my sine. My cosine, adjacent or hypotenuse, adjacent, negative 3, hypotenuse, square root of 10. Now something that I need to say is the following. Once you identify which one is positive, which one is negative, those are the signs that you will have to use from now on. You're not questioning yourself again, because remember, this quadrant, my cosine is negative and my sine is positive, right? X is negative and the y is positive. So as you can see, my sine is positive and my cosine is giving me negative. So once you identify this size, the positive and negative on the triangle, you use them from now on. Right. Rationalize the denominator. The top, negative 3 square root of 10. The radical cancels, and my answer on the bottom is 10. Nothing that I can simplify, so that's your final answer. Tangent. Opposite of adjacent. Opposite is 1. Adjacent is negative 3, but I'm not going to put the negative in the denominator because you can't have a negative in the denominator, so put it on the top, and that's my tangent. Once you do that, what do? Reciprocal. Cotangent of my angle, flip that. 3 over negative 1. I don't put the negative on the bottom, I put it on the top, so your final answer is negative 3. Cosine. Reciprocal for cosine is secant. Flip the fraction. If I have the radical in the denominator, let's flip it. It goes on the top, 3 goes on the bottom, the negative from the 3 stays on the top. And the reciprocal of a sine is cosecant. Take this fraction where I have the radical on the bottom, put it on the top, bring the 1, and that's the same thing. So now those are my 6 trig functions. That's how you do in all of them. Right, guys? If you're learning, like the video, subscribe to the channel, help me out with YouTube, please. Comment, ask me questions, okay? Our next video is going to be evaluating trigonometric functions given a point on the terminal side. Right, I'll see you in the next one, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.